Hi, I'm John. This is my show, A Sports Reckoning. So, the people that don't understand, it's like, okay, I want you to listen to the way in which I have the conversation of which I'm going to bring forth in this video. Okay? How am I, like, putting Michael Jackson down when I'm clarifying every misconception there is about him out there? And the other thing is that there's a million rumors about Michael Jackson. There's a million people out there creating a million different rumors, and they're all lies, but I have to overcome and counter every single one of them. It's like the enormity of the task that I have set before me. You know, it's daunting and shit, right? And it's weird though, because I can so easily overcome it. Like just this one video right here is just like, God, it's like, it's so far and above and beyond anything that's out there. And this, you know, I constantly yelling how stupid people are. Because, dude, I'm a fucking full-on, you know, I think I've got like maybe technically a 9th grade education and shit, right? It's like I don't even remember really going to school much. I never participated in school after the first semester thing of the 9th grade. This thing happened, and I completely, after that, I never ever tried to get in school. There's a lot of things I never tried in school, because like even to the 1st grade, this goes all the way back to the stupid little thing in the 1st grade, because I was a cute kid. People fucking were hitting on me. There was all kinds of weird things, and it's one of the things that I talk about with, like, you know how they're sexualizing the children in the modern society and stuff, and it's like, dude, that was the worst thing you could, that was the worst thing you could have done to me, is ever speak anything sexually. I didn't want to hear anything about that as a kid, right? Nothing, not even, I mean, absolutely nothing, because I was getting hit on and shit, right? As a kid, I was having a lot of fucking sexual, fucking aggressive women fucking coming after me and shit. It was a kid. It was weird, right? So, and as a kid, I'm not wanting to fuck these bitches. I'm not like, oh, bang me, I'm fucking 5, 6 years old. I'm not thinking, damn, well, give me some of that shit. I'm just not thinking that way and shit, right? I mean, I remember being like in 1st grade and kissing girls and shit, right? But I'm not thinking about fucking them. I mean, there's like, that's not even a thought. Not even, whatever. But yeah, so the 1st grade, we had a spelling test, right? 20 words, right? 1st grade. And so I studied. I went home and I actually studied. And I went back, we took the test the next day, and I got all 20 words right? And then the teacher's handing out the papers to the people, and when she came to me, she whispers down in my ear, and she comes down and she whispers in my ear, and she says, "You're the only one who got them all right." And something about that, I didn't like that. And it's like, I didn't like the way she said that to me. I didn't like feeling different. And then it's also, I felt like, oh, well, shit, all I had to do was study a little bit. That was really fucking easy. Why do I even need to try and do this shit? Because if I want to try and do it, I just do it, right? So I literally, after that teacher said that to me, this is actually what happened. I never, ever, ever, ever studied for fucking like an English test or like, you know, never. I never studied to learn how to spell a word. Until recently and shit, we've got back into this internet stuff, and now it's like, oh, you're typing shit out, so, and then they're telling you you're spelling it wrong, and I know I'm close, but then it's like, okay, they fix that, so I'm learning how to spell again and shit, which I've liked that and stuff, right? But I was a bad speller my whole life and shit, right? But anyways, just talking about things we go through in life and stuff, and how it develops you and stuff, and all these things, right? And so, and all the characteristic traits and all this stuff. And so that's what I'm talking about, like Michael Jackson. It's like, man, I perfectly explain exactly who he is. It's like, let me show you. And so here's this thing. This is an older video of Joe Rogan, right? This one's 4 years ago. This is when the movie Leaving Neverland came out. And this is like part of it's like, Leaving Neverland won an Oscar. Okay, my story just demolishes that. You gotta understand this. Leaving Neverland won an Oscar for like best documentary. Okay, if my story had been broken before that, which I was there, I was attacking them. Everybody was blasting this shit before in the Michael Jackson community, blasting this shit, and they wouldn't fucking deal with me. But then they allowed this movie to come out. And it's like, dude, this movie never would have even come out if my story had been broken, because the story's garbage. My story destroys this shit, right? This is stuff, and so I want you people to understand that it's like I'm in the sports car community doing this, right? This is totally a Michael Jackson community video, right? But the Michael Jackson community won't talk to me. And that's like the other thing I'm talking about this video. It's like, When you understand, like, look at how I make this video and what I actually do for Michael. And people always say, we're defending Michael. You're not defending Michael. You people are one-sided. You say, this is our opinion, and you won't listen to anybody else, and anybody else has any opinion, you fucking won't listen to it. You don't defend nothing. They're stealing from Michael Jackson. They're all Michael Jackson thieves. They're fake fans. They're totally horrible loser people. They don't even care about the songs. It's all the image of the king of pop. That's what they care about. They're fake as fuck. I mean, god damn. The shit what I gotta deal with and stuff, it's fucking madness. For me to be the person I am, and I'm 100% fucking excommunicated from the Michael Jackson community, doing this research of what I'm doing, and defending Michael and protecting him, and overcoming every single rumor that's out, all of it, explaining all of his songs, and I'm the one that's banned from the community? I mean, just like, the two people, it's like... That I have to deal with this stuff. That I actually have to experience this and go through this, you know? I know it's making me better and stronger and all this stuff, and it's going to benefit me in the future for certain things. If it doesn't benefit me as my human body, it'll benefit my fucking eternal soul and shit, right? I know that that's the way to work and stuff, but it's just hard to actually go through it when you're going through it and shit, right? So... they say a bunch of shit here, and I'm just gonna skip through. I'll try and skip through because... they're saying a lot, so I'll try and see if I can get through this, because I didn't put the times on there with the actual things. It's up until like 4 minutes. I want kind of most of the conversation, so let's go ahead and get this going here.
I don't want to watch that Michael Jackson thing. First of all, it's weird because he's not alive. He's not allowed to defend himself, so it's weird. It's also stories, and you know, people tell the truth in stories sometimes, and sometimes they don't, and you don't know, and also. There was, you know, it was always weird. Like
just like really quick. And see, he's saying you don't know. And see, this is the thing. Now we know. All of this stuff of what you're saying that you don't know, now we know. I've got the answers for all of it. Right? And this is the kind of shit that you get these people saying, who cares about this? It's like, dude, do you not know how many questions this guy has in his head? He wants to understand the true nature of what is going on. He sees all of this shit, and he has no answer for it. And he knows he can't put this label on it because it's not for sure. And you can't go this way because, it's not for sure. There's like truths, and it's all confusion, right? And so it's like, I'm fucking clearing up all the confusion. Everybody needs this clarification, and it'll benefit Joe Rogan's soul. This is what I'm saying about this. Like, look at my work will benefit him. It will benefit his soul. It will make him a better man. And all these loser motherfuckers want to come out here and talk about their stupid fucking worthless cards. Like that's important. That's more important than this kind of fucking reality of to actually affect people's lives. That's what I'm saying. You sports card fucking people, that you guys all piece of shit losers too. You are fucking morons. You're a slave, fucking scumbag losers. You don't care about anybody in the world. You just want to sit up there and say, look at my big ass titties. I got me some new big ass titties, and I don't give a fuck about the world, and look at my big ass titties. You bunch of fucking big ass titty fucking whores. That's what you fucking losers are.
No one knew why, with all the rumors that everybody had ever heard about Michael Jackson, that anybody would let their kids go and hang out with him. Like, dude,
when you watch the documentary, you're like,
well, that's a stupid thing. It's like, dude, it's Michael Jackson. These people are fame hungry and shit, dude. People are willing to fucking castrate their children so that they can get some attention from society and be deemed as like a good member of society. I mean, people are willing to do that. You don't think they're going to be willing to fucking serve their kids up to Michael whatever he wanted? Okay, this is it, Joe Rogan. This is what you don't understand. People are so fucking dead and they're lost in their total existence that they're looking for something to validate themselves. And for you to speak for Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson knows your name, it gives you a validation that you are alive on this earth, that you have existed, that there's something of worth to you. That's how it works. That's what's wrong with these people, everything that's going on in society and shit.
These parents are fucking morons.
I don't get it, man.
2 of the fathers have committed suicide since it's happened.
No, and I know the one guy, the first kid's dad had committed suicide or whatever. I'm not sure who the second father is or whatever, the second father. I'm not sure exactly and stuff. But that's another thing. Just because he's committed suicide, we don't know the whole stories and all the backgrounds about what's going on. Because like the first father, the kid was not actually sexually molested. The actual first case back in the 93, that kid I don't think anybody really says he was real. I'm not sure if those accusations, Michael was around him and doing things around him in inappropriate behavior. That's what they were claiming and stuff like that. But as far as the actual like full on like sexual abuse, I don't even know if that was actually being accused of and shit, you know? So how would the father be so like emotionally distraught that, oh, I served my child up to Michael Jackson? That's not even what that first case, it's not like that. It's like Michael was having a friendship with him, and in the process of Michael having a friendship with him, Michael overstepped his boundaries of what he thought a friend was, because he didn't understand that this is a child. You're not allowed to be that kind of friend with the child. And somewhere in there, they probably just like, they were in the jacuzzi together, and then because they were in the jacuzzi together, that allowed the father to spin the story that the kid saw Michael's penis, they saw him naked, so they spun it because of there was some interactions taking place that they could say like, oh, well, Michael, they were in the jacuzzi together. Maybe something like that was provable. And then they could prove that they were in rooms together staying the night, and that was provable. And because that was provable, then they were able to concoct this story that Michael was molesting him. And just because of the allegation, Michael would have went to jail for that. If the kid, and they got the kid was going to go on court and say, I saw Michael's penis. That's what the fans don't understand. It doesn't matter if it happened or not. If the kid was willing to get up on the stand and say, I saw Michael Jackson's penis, everybody that knows anything knows that Michael Jackson was going to jail. And what happened was Michael Jackson's lawyers told Michael, I definitely 100% cannot guarantee that if this goes to trial that I can get you off. The lawyers told him, if this case goes to trial with the evidence of which we are being presented with, and if that kid gets up on the stand and testifies that he saw your penis, the Michael Jackson's lawyers told him, you are probably going to jail. And then Michael paid $20 million and stopped it all from happening. That's what happened. Michael never would have paid. That's what like the fans too. Their fans are so stupid. They don't know that Michael paid that money because he was going to jail. If he wasn't going to jail, the lawyers would have said he's got no case. If the lawyers knew, he's got no case. There's no way that this case, the lawyers know what their job is. Lawyers would have said, dude, Michael, there is no case. This evidence, this is how we counter it. There is no evidence. There's no jury that's going to convict you. Do not fucking allow this to ruin your reputation. Because after that, Michael Jackson never signed another endorsement deal after that ever. And people act like he was so rich, and it's like, dude, so what? He's got an image to protect. He's got future, like there's so much stuff. Michael Jackson is in the business of making money and shit, right? And then they act like that's not important. That, oh, who cares he didn't sign any endorsement deals? Yeah, that's important and shit. And the reason he didn't get any more endorsement deals is because he paid the kid off, right? Which is a form of an admission of guilt. That's it. There's an admission of guilt there, period. There is an admission of guilt there. There's something. Right, doesn't mean he's a pedophile, but it meant that with the available information and the evidence of what's available to us, a jury will put you in jail for this, right? Just as like what they should have done on the other trial, but the lawyers were smart. They countered it with the kids. They didn't have the right kids there because the kid that they had testifying wasn't credible enough. The way it turned out, it just wasn't all credible enough. Like I said, going on, there's so much about this stuff. Let me just keep going on here.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Wait, but we don't have any hard evidence that he was molesting kids, right?
That's right. We do not. There is no hard evidence except that the kids are making the accusations in the Leaving Neverland. See, that's the thing. We don't have hard evidence, but in a courtroom, a person testifying is an eyewitness account. I can't think of the right word. There's something I'm missing. But anyways, that's hard evidence. If you get somebody to testify against you, you don't have to have evidence because the testimonial of this person, all it has to be is believed. If they believe it, then that is hard evidence because that's a person saying this happened to me, an eyewitness account. This happened to me, that's hard evidence, right? And that's what they did in Leaving Neverland. Those kids came out and said, this is what happened, which was all bullshit. What I personally believe that happened, because I can understand from the Wade Robson, and I do believe that the Wade Robson and James Safechuck were being subjected to the same psychiatric care from the same doctor. And I believe what happened is, because Wade Robson said when he made the discovery that he had been molesting by Michael Jackson, what he said was he had a vision that Michael Jackson was molesting his child. And he said when he had that vision, it sparked the revelation that he had been molested by Michael. But from that seems like much more of he's a mind control, that he was under hypnosis, and through the hypnosis process, the doctor got Wade Robinson to visualize Michael Jackson molesting his child. I would think that that's what occurred, right? And so the doctor got Wade, he hypnotized him, he put him into a state where he got him to see in his head Michael molesting his child, and somehow and then they worked on him, and then they got it to break it forth where they started planning stuff in his head, and the next thing you know, they're telling him, oh, well, you were being molested. And it's one of those things where Wade would be like, hey, I don't really remember being molested. It came out through the revelations, through the psychiatric. And then that's what you people don't understand. All this stuff of what's coming out, these accusations of what's been held, those were coming out through the assistance of the psychiatric care doctor, they were both being subjected through the same doctor and shit, right? So, I mean, it's garbage. The stuff, and they were being mind controlled. The stuff that came out of their mind was put in their head. And you can tell in which the way they talk about it, it's conversations that were put in their head for them to visualize that they think they're seeing it, but they're not. It never actually happened. They were hypnotized. They're mind controlled. That's what happened to those two kids, the Wade Robinson and James Safechuck. They got victimized by that. And you can tell, like I said, you can tell it was a hypnosis because of the way Wade speaks about watching his child being molested by Michael, which we all know that didn't happen. So why is he seeing that happen? It's because he was under hypnosis, and the doctors put that thought into his head. That's how it happened, right? That's how those guys fucking came out with the shit.
All we have is rumors.
Well, here's the thing.
In court, he was acquitted.
Here's the problem. The doctor, his very doctor, said that he was chemically castrated.
Talking about the guy who killed him.
Yeah, the doctor who killed him, right? So here's the thing. Now, so because I've wondered about like this stuff, is like, how does this actually happen? What did the doctor witness, or did Michael say something to him? How did this actually happen? Now, okay, so if the doctor's saying that Michael's chemically castrated, then instantly, that invalidates the children, his children, that any of the children are his actual biological children, right? So if Michael Jackson's making biological children, maybe he needs an excuse for the real answer that he's not a Jackson. He ain't gonna tell Dr. Murray that. He's not telling Dr. Murray because Dr. Murray hasn't come out and said that, right? So he's not going to tell Dr. Murray that he's not a Jackson, that his real parents are Diana Ross and Smokey Robinson. He didn't tell him that. Right? He didn't tell him that, and that he didn't tell him that because of all of that stuff that Michael Jackson was a virgin. He's a virgin. Now, the characteristics of a virgin and a guy who was chemically castrated, can't you see the similarities of what's there? Now, Michael Jackson is willing to allow you to think that maybe he was chemically castrated because that takes you away from the reality of the truth is that he's a virgin because he's abandoned as a child, that his real parents are Diana Ross and Smokey Robinson, and that he's not a Jackson. Okay, all the stuff, the truth of what he can't tell you. So if you're trying to mislead the truth in a little bit of a direction, can you see how the lie of him not being able to have children, like that he's not biologically able, that he was castrated and stuff, chemically castrated and stuff. And so now this is the other thing. Now, if Joe Jackson has Michael Jackson, who's the child of Diana and Smokey, and he was given that child from Berry Gordy, and Joe Jackson is trying to build a group and take that child back to Berry Gordy to strong arm him because he got leverage with the kid. Joe Jackson never would chemically castrate that kid because if he had he could smack the kid around because that's like normal. Don't tell me how to raise my kid. That's the kind of shit like, don't tell me how to raise my kid. But when you're chemically castrating, yeah, we're going to step in and say, what the fuck? We're going to start complaining about how you're raising the kid. See, that's what I'm saying. That's a whole different level. And so people think that, because they always talk about Joe, and they're trying to say, well, everybody's recognizing that Michael is a special talent, and without Michael's talent in the band, that the Jacksons fall apart. Now, My Story explains it again too, because Michael's got the talent that he's not part of the Jacksons. My Story explains all of this stuff. Of what you're actually seeing, what you think it is, and what the actual truth was, what was actually there and stuff, right? My Story explains all this stuff that Joe never could have chemically castrated him. The real reason of what you're seeing, this stuff of what's going on there is that, and then why Michael's got such the superior talent and why Michael's so different is because he was never a part of the family. And so the other thing is that there's a rumor about Joseph Jackson pimping out Michael Jackson because the people are thinking with the pedophile stuff. They're thinking Joe's using Michael and the abuse and Michael saying I was abused and all this stuff. And so the people then they concoct these ideas in their own head and come up with this all stuff, and they're saying, oh, Joe was fucking pimping out Michael Jackson as a little baby and to these record producer people so he could get a record deal. Okay, but my story is that Michael came from Motown, so Joe never would have been needing to do that kind of fucking thing with Michael to get a record deal, because Michael, you see, my story clarifies everything, and their stories are all the rumors. It's bullshit. It doesn't even make any sense. Once you actually start to understand the real story, my story explains fucking everything, right? Constantly. But the fans, they'll all make videos about Dr. Murray said Michael's castrated, right? They'll all make videos about that. They'll all talk about leaving Neverland, all these accusations, but they can't even bring up my story in conversation. They can't talk about it because they're fake as fuck. They're losers and shit, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yes.
His parents to protect his voice.
So you have no testosterone, right?
Exactly. Not just no testosterone.
So do you still bust nuts?
I mean, me? I don't think so.
One of the other weird things.
See, he's saying he's like he's a eunuch. Well, not a eunuch. It's like he's saying he doesn't have nuts. No, he had nuts and fucking shit, and he busted a nut and shit. It's that he's a virgin. The thing that they're covering up of what they don't understand, all of this stuff, it's that he's a virgin. Why he's not hanging out with women? Why aren't his kids his biological children? Why is this fascination with hanging out with children? All of this stuff. That he's a virgin, that he's an abandoned child, he's not really a Jackson. Don't you see how my story actually explains every single thing of which we saw and we never understood? My story, every single thing, my story explains it. Everything.
I saw that was like facts you should know from the documentary was that he had something to do with the sound in the room. The hallway leading up to his bedroom was wired so that footprints would make a ding-dong sound in the room.
That's just like, so what? Who cares? And if he had 20 fucking locks on the door, so what? That is like so irrelevant and insignificant, like somebody's not allowed to provide fucking security in their own home? Come on. That is the stupidest fucking shit. That means nothing. Oh, he had locks on his door. Oh, you could hear them if you were walking up, he could hear it on the footprints. So what? So what? We're talking Michael fucking Jackson. And he has some security and a little bit of a fucking issue about people wanting... Yeah, he's got the right to that fucking shit. We're talking about Michael Jackson. The fact that they would even bring that up shows how stupid these people are, because that is nothing. That means nothing. It's nothing. It's not even a point. It doesn't mean anything.
It's just a very strange thing.
No, it's not.
In general for
no, it's not.
Purpose.
But if you grow up in the spotlight, because remember, he was such a big star, you might have some anxiety.
Exactly.
Right, maybe he didn't want to be walking in.
Right, see, they're both saying that ain't shit. That ain't shit. They're both said that.
Look,
that ain't shit.
We don't know.
We don't know.
He's saying, who the fuck knows? I know. I'm the one. I'm the one who was the smart one who fucking actually saw the truth and explained all this shit, because I don't have all these built up fucking preconceived fucking notions that you idiots have, like Joe Rogan. You think you know. You're making these conclusions based off of lies and fucking misconceptions that you don't know anything. All your conclusions are based off of misconclusions. That's so fucking pathetic, you fucking losers. And you come out here speaking like you're a fucking knowledgeable voice and shit. Like your opinion fucking matters. It's garbage.
What do you think, Jamie?
I'm just saying some of the facts. I remember he spent like 30 straight nights with like a 12-year-old at his house, in between that kid's mom.
And just so like this is the shit where I tell the fans, I'm like, dude, Michael did stuff that appeared to be pedophile in nature. And he did stuff that was fully inappropriate. His relationship and his friendships with the children were not acceptable. And this is the kind of thing where the fans, I'm like, dude, that's not acceptable. No, it's not. I don't care. He's Michael Jackson. I don't care. No. And then I tell them, this is the thing where the fans, and I say, look there's one just super obvious thing that tells you that it's not acceptable, is that every adult man gets erections during the night, regardless if he's conscious and aware of it or not. While you're asleep, your fucking cock gets hard. That's why, and that one thing, and they all laugh at me for this. They all laugh and they say, John says Michael Jackson gets a hard on. It's like, he's a man, isn't he? He's got a fucking cock, don't he? And the people think that you're awake and you're looking at the kid and you're getting an erection. No, while you're in bed, regardless of what you have, you have no fucking choice. My fucking cock gets hard every fucking night while I'm awake and I am not aware of it. Right? Has nothing to do with anybody in my room or nothing. My cock's gonna get fucking hard. That's every man out there that has a cock that works, that happens, right? So you cannot. So if you're a teenager, if you're a 10-year-old boy, and you're having sleepovers with 10-year-old boys, well, they're not all fucking up. Their cocks ain't getting all hard at night. It's totally different. You can have sleep with their kids. It's different. An adult, no. You can't have this adult man who has a cock that's getting hard, and you can't have him sleeping in a bed with children that aren't his and shit, and only on a rare, but not like what Michael was doing. It was way out. But why did Michael think that it was okay for do that? Because he was abandoned as a child. Because he's a virgin. That he's not really a Jackson. That everybody lied to him, and he's got all this fucking bullshit going on in the world. Everybody thinking they know what's going on, all this stuff. And when Michael's saying, hey, when I hang around these kids, it takes away that pain, all the post-traumatic stress syndrome shit, the PTSD stuff of what he's dealing with, of having to live that life he fucking led, right? And so most people turn to drugs and alcohol, but he doesn't want to be a full-blown drug addict. He's trying his best not to be a full-blown alcoholic drug addict. That's what's happening and shit. He's trying his best. How do I get rid of this pain? What do I do? He can only keep himself so busy writing songs and being in the studio and being on stage. The rest of the time his mind's driving him crazy because the reality of the fucking life he actually lived and shit, right? And he's like, and then he realized, he doesn't really have friends. And he realized that the way the kids treated him, that it was just like, there was a genuine friendship that Michael had. That it allowed him, it eased all of that burden on his mind and his soul of what he was carrying and shit. When he was hanging around the children, it eased that burden. Okay? And so I'm not going to fucking full on, like, I'll tell you, no, it was not wrong, right, and stuff, but I can explain why he was doing it. What the effects and what you're actually seeing. You're seeing an adult man who's got post-traumatic stress syndrome, and he's dealing with a lot of fucking pain eternally and fucking emotionally, all these pains of what he's dealing with, and he can't explain it to anybody because the truth explanation of what it is that he's not a Jackson, of which he cannot ever explain to anybody. Nobody knows that. And everybody thinks they know him, they think they love him. He can't ever tell you the truth, and you people are, it's so far from understanding that he full on just told you the truth of what he was in his song like Billie Jean, and nobody ever understood it. Then he's like, goddamn, nobody. These people are dumb as fuck. So now he's like, dude, I just told you exactly, and none of you motherfuckers. So now he's like, God, he has to deal with that reality too. He's like, you people are stupid as fuck. It's also telling you, that's a hard burden to carry when you have to walk around in this world with your eyes open and you're seeing things and everybody else is stupid as fuck. That is a hard fucking burden to carry in this world. Michael Jackson definitely fucking had to carry that fucking burden.
His house and his dad's house. Is there a divorce?
And there's so much
paying for so
There's so much video. There's so much video of him and this little boy holding hands. And the boy in the video goes, yeah, we would hold hands and we had a signal. We'd rub each other's palms when we were thinking sexually about it.
Like that's a thing. I don't know if you people used to have, but that was an inside joke when I was a kid and teenager, is you would grab a girl and I'd take my middle finger and I would scratch the palm of her hand. Okay, that was like a thing to tell them you wanted to have sex. That was an inside joke with all the people I knew and shit. We all knew that. You'd do that, you'd scratch their inside hand. So that is a thing. That's not like, so somebody could have told him that, to say that he would do that to you and shit. Somebody just mentioned that, because what happens is in these court cases, and I can give you the thing, there was the guy the Kavanaugh that was going to be the Supreme Court, the Kavanaugh, and they got that woman to say that, oh, he tried to rape me when I was a kid and shit, right? And there was the one thing from the woman that she says, and then when they left the room kind of like in a drunk thing, and they went down the stairs pinballing off of the wall. That's the way she said it, right? And then another time it came back up again, and somebody said, okay, then he left the room and he went down the stairs, and she said, yeah, pinballing off of the wall. She said it like that. And I said, oh, well, that was a plant. Somebody planted that word in her, because for her to highlight it again, and which she did the second time, you can tell that the reason for them to plant it in there there is that they say the minute details is what helps validate your story that it's real, because they say that the people, when they're telling these real stories, they have these minute details that you can't just make them up. So the placement of the pinballing off of the wall was a created minute detail to try and validate the story, which was a total bullshit story. And so that's what's happening with the scratching of the hand, which is the hand holding is true. But so when you want to take it to the perverted thing, you have to add in the little thing about the scratching of the palm. That's what fucking illustrates that, the people that are the idiot people think that makes the story true, but they don't know that the people are smart enough now to know how to deceive them by just adding in the little detail, and that's how you fool the people, and that's why that detail is added and shit, right? But on top of that, I think that Michael Jackson, the way he was holding the hands of that children, it's a form of child abuse, and the kid should be financially compensated for that, because the kid, as a child, he shouldn't have to grow up and live in a world where people think about him being molested by Michael Jackson. Okay, well, if his relationship as being a child, of being a friend with Michael Jackson, caused him to be an adult and have people accuse him of being sexually abused by Michael Jackson because of the behavior pattern of what Michael Jackson did, then that kid should be able to sue for Michael for doing that to him. And that's the kind of shit of what I say. And this is why the fans are so one-sided. They will never say anything. No, Michael's never guilty. There's nothing. It's like, dude, he did it. You can't go holding the hands of some fucking kid, then the kid's got to grow up with this fucking burden that people are thinking that he was being molested by Michael Jackson. That's a crime. And nobody's standing up for the fucking kids. Like, how disgusting to these Michael Jackson fans who can't stand up for a fucking kid and understand he was not fucking, that was not right. Michael Jackson was not allowed to fucking subject him to that fucking emotional fucking trauma and shit. And they were saying he's suing for money. He's entitled to fucking money for what Michael did to him for that shit. He's entitled to it. Michael owes him millions for that. Should pay him at least $10 million for fucking doing that shit. Come on, he did that to him in public with photographs and walking around with him with his arm around him and all that fucking shit. Yeah. Michael did that. He is guilty of that. He should have damn sure known well and cared about the fucking child and his fucking life and what the burdens he might have to carry. Michael didn't give a fuck about any of that shit. The fans don't care about it. They're all the fake motherfuckers.
Each other. However, you gotta chalk it up to the shitty parents. Because if John Legend came to my house, was like, dude, I love Tiger. You mind if I take him out for a little while? But you out your goddamn mind?
Right.
You're not going anywhere.
Well, not only that, and John Legend's not a pedophile.
No, I'm just
not known.
But they didn't know Michael Jackson was that.
But everybody knew there was something up.
Not at the time. He was the biggest star in the world back then in the 90s.
I remember. People knew some shit was
in the 90s.
See, this is the thing. Everybody knows, and see, people know that there's something up. Doesn't mean that you're associating that with it being a pedophile. Some people think it's a pedophile. But everybody knows there's something up. This is what I keep saying about the Michael Jackson story, and to the Michael Jackson fans, is that the Michael Jackson fans say we're defending Michael, and it's like, no, you're not, because the people have been seeing that there was a problem with Michael Jackson for a long fucking time. There was a problem. There's something wrong that nobody could understand. And why could you never understand it? Because the problem of what it was is that he was not a Jackson. And how could you ever understand that? Because the single most provable fact about Michael that we thought we understood is that he was a Jackson. But it comes to find out that was the problem. That was the thing that we never understood and never saw what was going on. We couldn't explain what it was, is that he was not a Jackson. So all of your interpretations of explaining why Michael is a Jackson, you were all wrong. Everything about how it happened, everything's wrong. And I clarify all of it. Every single thing.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
You make good music, you fuck.
No.
I know he did, but
everybody knew something was weird.
Really? I didn't.
He was always hanging around with kids.
Yeah, because he loved to
You're
help kids.
younger than us.
Way younger.
You gotta trust me.
See, so you gotta trust me. Trust me. That we've always been seeing there's something wrong with Michael for a long fucking time. As soon as Bad came out, once after Thriller came out, and Michael wasn't fucking every smoking hot bitch out there, after he was the biggest star in the world, and there was no like crazy sexual behavior going on, and then he goes to the Bad, and he's looking like he had more surgery. He's looking white. He starts off the album with the Bad video and the Bad song. He fucked up his whole career. That was the biggest mistake, was the bad. And so it was everything. When Bad came out, everything got fucked up because the initial experience of what we were exposed to was bad. And then he's looking different. He's white. This is weird. And then that stunted the actual growth because the Bad album was phenomenal. The Bad album is holy shit good, right? But they fucked it up with Bad. By starting it off with Bad, like I said, you got to trust me. I was there when it happened. This is what happened. It was bad. The song Bad, he fucked up. The song Bad fucked everything up. And then it got started people thinking, what's going on with this guy? Because now we've seen him being the biggest star in the whole world and ever, and we're still like, where's his girlfriends? Why isn't this dude fucking all these... Because we all know he could fuck smoking hot bitches, and there's no way when you have that kind of access, if you're a man and you've got that kind of access to fucking smoking hot bitches, there's no way that because once you start fucking the bitches, it's like a drug addict shit, right? Once you start, you don't just stop. Shit, right? You don't just stop and become Michael Jackson living in Neverland. That don't happen that way. So everybody knew this is something wrong. Because like I said, the bad shit. Then he buys the Neverland. He buys the Beatles. All this weird shit is going on that nobody understands. But everybody can see the one thing that's not going on is he's definitely not fucking bitches. And that's when everything started to get weird. That's when he's changing his looks. He's not fucking bitches. Now he's buying Neverland. He's doing all this to his children. And then he starts coming up with all the childhood bullshit, all this stuff. It's like shit started getting weird. And nobody could really understand what it was.
It's like same month almost.
And you knew something was up?
Yeah.
Jamie's more on the ball than you. So he's always online. You're out getting pussy. James online.
Well played.
I just feel like it's too weird. It's too weird to let your kids hang out with this grown man all those times.
I think he was mentally ill. And what his family says, they go, no. A lot of you are confusing him he didn't have a childhood.
Okay, so right there. So he just says on his opinion, like I said, they see stuff, but they don't really know how to explain it and stuff, right? So he says, I think he was mentally ill. Yeah, he's mentally ill. He was abandoned as a child. Diana told him the truth and he's 10 years old. Then he had to live under that umbrella and the lie of being a Jackson, but having to then cater to Diana Ross, having to cater to the fans, of having to, appease all of that stuff. Don't you think that might cause a little bit of mental illness? See how my story explains everything. He was mentally ill, but it's because of what happened to him through my story, not your bullshit understanding story, right? Because this is the thing. They talk about the childhood and then they all agree upon this. And I keep saying, this is flat out bullshit. This is the stupidest fucking shit. I don't know anybody out there that wouldn't have traded their childhood with Michael Jackson. That's it. So if you would not have traded your childhood with Michael Jackson's, then why can you validate the story that Michael Jackson didn't have a childhood? You're so stupid that you can't overcome that because they've sold you this Michael Jackson didn't have a childhood story because he was working? Come on. So what? He went to school. He still went to school and he had a whole house full of kids. You know how many you know what is not having a childhood? When you're an only child to a single mother and you go to school and you come home and you're there with your mother and she won't let you have any friends because you're her only child and she makes you do everything. Everything is under control. You can't play any sports. You can't have any friends. That's not having a fucking childhood. And you're going to tell me Michael Jackson's family, being able to spend all that time with his brothers, being able to learn how to fucking play songs and instruments, then going out on the road and performing in clubs and being able to do all of that stuff that none of the normal kids in the neighborhood were being able to do. And you're going to say that somehow that you can constitute this understanding and this explanation of Michael not having a fucking childhood? But no, now let's explain what that is. Michael was not raised by his real parents. He was given to a family of which was not his, which in that family he's being used by Joe Jackson to fulfill Joe Jackson's dreams of making a band and going to Hollywood and stuff. And Joe's just using Michael. That was never his kid. He never treated him like his kid. He was using him and forcing him to make sure he got what he wanted. Now, under the context of that umbrella, Michael being abandoned, not knowing his real parents, and having to live under the umbrella of that Jackson's household, having to do can you understand now how Michael's looking back upon that and saying, I didn't actually have a childhood because my childhood I was given away by my real parents, so the childhood of which I would have had never even fucking existed. Have you seen my childhood? And he's like, I've been searching for the world that I come from, looking around in the lost and found of my heart. No one understands me. Fuck. You guys, what the fuck, man? It's fucking ridiculous.
His dad robbed him of his childhood.
I think that's true,
So
too.
inside, he felt like he was 9 years old. So he missed out on the sleepovers and video games. So he would get friends with kids and.
So I was like, oh, he missed out on the sleepovers and video games. No, he's sleeping with his brothers. He had family, he had people, he's hanging out with them. That's friends. Plus he had friends on the block. Like there's the kid that was the drummer, the Johnny Jackson, not a Jackson, but his name's Jackson, you know? But he's Johnny Jackson, he's a drummer. He's a kid on the block. Well then, if Michael Jackson has no friends and there's no encounters with any neighborhood kids, how does the goddamn Johnny Jackson get into the Jackson 5 when they first start going out? He's the drummer. He knows other kids. They're friends. They're playing sports. They're doing more than what Michael had Michael had the best fucking childhood until he realizes that was not his fucking family. And he's looking around for the lost and found of his heart. And nobody understands me. And that's what he told over and over and over. He told the people he told you what was going on. And no one understands me. And he had to live with that fucking shit. Don't you think that might cause some fucking mental illness? Some PTSD of which he had to relieve that fucking stress and pain by having some friendships with some children who didn't treat him the same way as all these other motherfuckers?
Say it out loud. It's batshit crazy.
Batshit crazy. I think all those things that you're saying are true. But I also think it's true that he was probably chemically castrated. I really think that's true because I've said that a long time ago. I said, I think he's a castrato. The way his voice is, why, tell him that it's human nature. It's just that voice is just not a man's voice.
Okay, so now, because he can't understand, and the reason he can't understand the voice is because Michael being part of the Jackson, and none of the Jacksons have that voice. They don't seem like him. He's different. Everybody's so obviously aware that Michael Jackson's voice is so different from the Jacksons, and they're trying to give an understanding, an explanation of that. And so in his head, he uses the information of what he's got and the logics and the conclusions of what he can form, and in his mind he formed to say that Michael Jackson's castrato, that he's castrated, and then they're saying, well, because Joe's a mean guy, and then that explains why Michael's saying he had no childhood, and that is their understanding of that stuff, right? But now, when you just understand that your voice problem, when you're saying that that's not Michael's voice, you don't know his real parents. Now, if you knew that Michael Jackson's real parents are Diana Ross and Smokey Robinson, would you say that Michael's voice is an issue? Can't you just hear the blending of those two voices produced Michael Jackson's voice? And the artistic ability of where Michael Jackson comes from, there it is. There's your answer. There's your explanation. Instead of having to construct some fucking thought in your mind that they're your explanation for what Michael Jackson was, that, oh, his father fucking had him chemically castrated. That's where your mind had to go to explain what this is explaining and shows you right there, because nobody could ever fucking see this and understand what that was? What the fuck, man? Then, here's Diana confessing, full-on confession, and nobody understands it.
They're awfully big.
Aren't they, Morris? I love them. We have one of them in the audience here with us.
Where?
We have Michael Jackson
Hear that voice?
somewhere out there. Is he out there? Where is he? There he is. That's my child.
Hey.
That's Michael. You know, Mother.
Don't you know anybody? You get a better seat?
being incognito. You know, they make me work hard because I want to be something. I mean, I am. Michael has always been like a son or a brother or something to me, and they admire me sort of like. So I try very hard to keep up such an image for them. And when I do a show like this, they usually sneak Michael in. I really didn't know he was going to be here. I heard about it, and I was hoping that he was here because it makes me a little bit stronger because I'm doing it basically for him.
Okay. There's Michael. He's always been like a son to me. This is like 1970. Michael's just come to Motown. He's part of the Jackson family with all the brothers and sisters, mother and father in the house. And for some reason, Diana's built this kind of relationship with him right up instantly. Instantly. Look at the relationship she has. And do you hear her with her little giggles and her laughters? There's Michael's voice. Look at her body, her frame. There's Michael's body. Look at the talent of where Diana and Smokey have. There's Michael's talent. Look at the damage of Michael having to sit there in the audience and the real life experience of what Michael Jackson's having to live, being separated from his family by Diana Ross, and Michael Jackson having to sit in the audience and having to have this relationship with Diana Ross, but then he can't tell the public about it, and while the public's all thinking they know about him, and Michael writes his songs like Billie Jean, telling you about this moment in time right here, that's the Billie Jean of the moment in time of where the Billie Jean origins, right? In this time here, he explains everything, becomes the biggest star, becomes the biggest entertainer, greatest songs of all time. Nobody understands it. Don't you think that might cause some fucking mental illness when you see after the effects of all of that stuff, that's after that he goes into the fucking Neverland and he starts having the relationships with children, that it breeds something else, and you see the effects of what would happen from what I'm saying happened, and you see the timeline and the events of what actually occurred in his life. Doesn't my stuff perfectly explain and line up perfectly in understanding of every single thing that's out there? Everything. And I still can't get people to understand that this is important, that people care about this, that this affects society, if it affects human existence of all time. And on the smallest levels of it is, there's also collectibles that you can benefit financially off of. If you collect them now, you can actually financially benefit from these when my story breaks and all this stuff starts to generate and all this conversation starts going on in the world, and you're going to see the buzz and everybody's going to go after Michael Jackson's collectibles, which creates a fucking frenzy of what the stuff's actually worth and stuff. And I can't get the collectible people to give me any fucking respect for the work that what I'm doing and what I bring into the community. I'm blocked by all these motherfuckers. I'm excommunicated from the Michael Jackson community. I'm widely blocked all throughout the fucking sports card and collectible community. And you guys wonder why the fuck I yell at all you stupid motherfuckers and call you idiot fucking moron losers all the time, right? Because maybe you're a bunch of stupid idiot fucking moron losers.